Hi.
Yeah, so this is our delayed review of Geostorm.
Which was very good.
Yeah, at least for a Roland Emmerich movie, it was good. So yeah, the premise is that in the near future, due to climate change, natural disasters were getting out of hand. So this one genius guy, played by Gerard Butler, came up with a global, satellite system to control the weather. And then, of course, being a Hollywood movie,
Shit goes wrong.
Yeah, somebody decides, I'm going to take over the world.
I like the idea that it was basically trying to unite the world, something we need nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, most Roland Emmerich movies do that to a degree, but this one did it the most.
Yeah, and they set in motion the idea was, in a certain amount of days, the United States is gonna have to give up control of the satellite system to the United Nations. I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was named after. The story goes it was named after a kid.
Something boy.
Yeah. Dutch boy.
Dutch boy. Yeah.
It was named after apparently a kid who stopped
a leaking dam with his thumb.
Yeah, which is okay. Sure, why not? I've heard more ridiculous premises for naming things.
Yeah.
But the whole movie's set up on the fact that things are going wrong in Dutch Boy.
Yeah.
And if everything goes wrong, you could wipe out millions of people.
Yeah, because it'll create what's called a geostorm.
Hence the name of the movie.
That basically a storm that a domino effect that just gets bigger and bigger until it just destroys everything.
Yeah. And they did a good job setting that up.
Yeah, the first malfunction was this little isolated flash freeze that happened
in Afghanistan, I believe.
And just totally sort of like a mini The Day After Tomorrow event, just in this one little village in Afghanistan.
And then from that point, things proceedingly go worse and worse and worse.
For example, a gas pipe explosion
in China,
in Hong Kong, I think it was.
Yeah, I think it's Hong Kong.
Or was it Beijing? Either way.
One of the capital cities of China. It was definitely in China.
Yeah.
This movie, we watched it in 3D, but it was hilarious because it would show you where every city was, but it would put emphasis randomly on the country. It was in the little corner, like Beijing, China. China was in bold and in red, which I kept noticing was hilarious. But they did a lot of fake outs to make sure you didn't know who the bad guy was in the movie, because we know who the good guys were. It was Gerard Butler's character. I think his name was Jake. His brother's girlfriend. Yeah. And some random informant in China. Basically, were the and the president.
Chang, I think. Chang, I think the informant was.
And the president. They were basically all the good guys.
Yeah.
In that, and they mentioned I think it was a secretary or something was supposed to be a good guy. At the beginning.
You mean the president's assistant?
Yeah, the guy who hired Gerard Butler's brother. Yeah.
The guy played by Peter Weller.
Yeah. But they set up all the good guys without setting up who the bad guy is. So it made you wait until the very end to actually find out who the bad guy is.
What a twist!
What a twist!
I did figure it out right off the bat, though, just by who was playing the bad guy and how he was playing it.
Maybe I'm just not used to those kind of tropes. Or maybe I wasn't paying attention. And then they had one fake out where they had a guy, a satellite that was malfunctioning. He basically took this little thing. I'm not sure how they described it, but
some sort of computer chip thing.
You could shake it and it'd show you an image in the middle of the air. But he basically
hologram, I guess.
They made it look like he was tampering with the satellite, and that the bad guys decided to kill him off in a airlock malfunction. just to cover up evidence, which we found out later, even that wasn't true.
Well, it was to cover up evidence, but
he wasn't the bad guy.
Yeah, he wasn't working for them. He had just found out who the bad guys were, and he was trying to.
It ended up being the thing. He did the thing that actually saved them, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because somebody had inputted. We found out later somebody inputted a virus into the Dutch White mainframe, and that the guy had found the virus and like basically had a copy of the information that could. You could wipe the hard drive of the virus, something like that.
Well, I think
it was information about the virus because the virus had been retroactively deleted.
Well, yeah, it was basically information about the virus and who was responsible for placing and all that, the conspiracy, all that. What they had to do to get rid of the virus was basically reboot the whole system, shut it down, and restart it.
Yeah. So then throughout the movie, we've got, they go into a lot of detail of Jake's relationship with his brother.
Yeah.
Jake's brother's relationship with his with his girlfriend.
Who is CIA, yeah.
Those were some of my favorite moments. So, near the end with the sequence of the brother, his girlfriend, the president, and the bad guy.
Yeah.
Because there were just hilarious bits of time. This was probably one of my favorite depictions of a president of the United States. Because he wasn't a bad guy. He was a guy just trying to do he was doing the right thing.
Well,
he wasn't just a pawn.
Well, the thing is, in at least a few Roland Emmerich movies, that's the case. President, what's his name? Wins something in Independence Day and Independence Day 2.
Yeah. But I like this depiction compared to
President Whitmore.
Yeah, I like this one compared to the last president we watched in the spy movie.
Okay, well, yeah, but that was a deliberate jab at you know who.
Yes. This one felt like what a president should be. To take not obsessed with America, but obsessed with being.
Just an honest, good person.
Yeah.
And not over the top like Whitmore from Independence Day.
With a random story of his wife cared so much about the environment, and that's why he cares.
Yeah, so Al Gore.
Okay. But throughout the movie, they set up a lot of usually kind of obvious storms, like setting up a massive heat wave in Russia.
Yeah.
It's kind of the obvious thing, almost a hurricane in the Middle East in an area that was very dry.
Yeah.
Didn't get a lot of rain, which was the only time.
More of a tsunami, just whoosh.
Surf's up, dude. I swear I made that.
Yeah, in the theater I was like, That was borderline racist right there.
Yes, it was. But another thing I liked is the movie almost had one scene that was almost like breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, it was more sort of like a kind of an inside joke.
Yeah.
So hint, hint, wink, wink.
Yeah, there's a scene where Gerard Butler gets sent back up to space because earlier in the movie, in the first section, he got fired from the program because he wouldn't stop insulting the council.
Because the council were complete jackasses, so it was justified.
Yes, he was justified. Insulting. But he was fired, so he ended up living in Florida in a trailer with his daughter.
With Cape Canaveral in clear view.
Because obviously that's the only thing he's ever cared about is space.
Yeah.
So then his brother... Space. So he gets sent back up because they realize something's going wrong. And the scene, he meets the crew, just a round table of the crew. And the one guy, the other British guy who's there, recognizes that Gerard Butler has a British accent.
Yeah.
And mentions it, even though the character is supposed to be American. I can't remember the exact dialogue, but I remember Gerard Butler's character goes, "Yeah, well, we were born in the UK." And
the thing is, he didn't really have a British accent. He was masking it, but it could be a British person may be able to pick up on it.
Yeah.
That it's an artificial American accent.
Yeah. And the funny thing was his brother, the character's brother, who they say was also born in the UK, is not sporting any British accent at all. He's just an American guy.
Yeah.
He's just a family guy. I'm reminded of when Peter, like, there was a specific episode of Family Guy where Peter constantly mentioned how he liked it when TV shows or movies said the name of the movie in the movie. I mean, was reminded of that when thinking of Geostorm.
Roll credits.
They also had, what was weird was a reference to this, I believe it's the song Ground Control and Major Tom from, I think, the Beatles, was it?
Yeah, I don't know who made that song.
Because I remember, right before the scene I was mentioning, the scene where he gets sent up in the rocket, one of the guys in NASA goes, well, that's like 12 in a row, Major Tom. I'm like, where did that reference come from? It's just completely out of nowhere.
Yeah, what they should have also done is had a Houston, we have a problem reference, because, like,
Yeah.
Apollo 13.
Yeah. So throughout the movie, I found they do a good job of setting up the problem, and like the main story was the relationship issues between Gerard Butler's character and his brother.
Oh, we forgot to mention there was another character, the millennial girl.
Which one? What?
The black girl. Remember? She was the informant. Doing all the research and hacking and stuff.
Yeah.
And she was kind of comic relief too, because she had some witty, sass to introduce to the conversations with the other characters, and they were always telling her to shut up.
And basically calling Jake's brother old by using references he doesn't understand.
Yeah. Well, that's what millennials do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, her.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did. They set up and paid off the whole relationship with Gerard Butler and his brother.
Yeah.
With they showed visible
a made-up
conflict.
Story that they used to send a message.
Yeah, it was basically
message. Conspiracy.
Yeah, it was basically their dad. Like the story was them and their dad were fishing, and they couldn't catch a fish, but something like his dad would rather stay there with his family
and not catch fish than catch fish alone.
But that was a coded message.
Yeah.
Warning him that
the government conspiracy, trust no one.
Yes. Which, because the brother then goes to the black girl with the code, and she's like, "What'd you think of this? Was when you were 4 or 9, something like that?" And he's like, "No, I was 8." Just. But we go through the whole movie setting up the coming Geostorm, and eventually got to
it's like the final countdown.
With the stereotype or the trope of stopping it seconds before.
Yeah, exactly.
Before it goes critical.
But that kind of a countdown, you'd think that seconds before wouldn't really make much of a difference. That sort of thing. It's not a bomb.
No, but they had to end the movie on a high note.
I know, but it's Roland Emmerich. You know, you take what you pay for. But it was good for a Roland Emmerich movie. It's certainly a lot better than 2012. That one was just too much.
And there was a sub point where somebody had activated the self-destruct on the Dutch boy, which was explained to be there in case
it ever came plunging to Earth.
Yeah. And the idea is Gerard Butler is going to stay there to deactivate the self-destruct and the Geostorm.
Because heroic self-sacrifice trope.
Yeah. But we find out, no, the self-destruct can't be stopped.
Yeah.
So he's basically there on a suicide mission to save the world.
Yeah.
And it turns out the guy who activated the self-destruct was the British guy earlier, who just wanted more money.
Yeah, not just that, but he specifically said he wants to watch the world burn, and I'm thinking, why so serious? Because that's basically what he was doing in that scene is like I want to watch the world burn. It's like, okay, they're
And
Joker.
I think Gerard Butler had a good point where he's like, what's the point of having money if there's nothing to spend it on? Like, if the world blows up, what are you going to spend all that money on?
But then he just, goes and says, yeah, I just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah. So he randomly has a gun under his desk.
How he snuck that on a space station, nobody knows.
I don't think they had TSA on a space station.
Know what I mean? They should on the shuttles going up to it.
They should, but evidently they didn't spend all their money there. They spent...
Unless he made the gun himself on the space station, he had all that time to do it. I don't know, but it was a pretty realistic looking gun, not something. But who cares?
Who cares? He had a gun. We needed a little bit of drama.
Yeah.
For an action movie, this was all the action you really got. Like this and a little bit near the end.
And the destruction scenes, obviously, which were pretty short for a Roland Emmerich movie. They were pretty brief and spread out. Usually Roland Emmerich, he likes to just, splurge on the destruction scenes, have them take up half the movie, whereas this one, they were just sprinkled out here and there.
Yeah, I think it benefited the movie to do that.
Yeah, exactly. They focused more on the characters.
They added
good.
And the destruction scenes also added tension to scenes they needed to.
Yes, exactly.
Like
especially one that really had me on the edge of my seat was the Beijing scene with where Cheng was trying to outrun the basically exploding city streets in his car.
Yeah, this was honestly my first thought was maybe he is a bad guy because he was in an office by himself watching the computers. Like I felt maybe he was feeding information, but
I was thinking more.
Wrong.
I was thinking more. It was just going to be more like in some other Roland Emmerich movies where he was just there to be killed off in a destruction scene, kind of like in. The Day After Tomorrow, a similar almost scene in Japan where massive basketball-sized hail, which also happened in this movie. This movie really was sort of a reference to all Roland Emmerich's previous films.
But he was there to sort of be...
Yes, to be in the scene, but he survived it and became a secondary character, which is... new for a Roland Emmerich movie. Usually scenes like that is just, to show people dying because of the disaster, whereas they don't...
He got information to the brother and then proceeded to be killed anyway.
Yeah, by a henchman who pushed him into a car. Which, again, an unusual way to die in a Roland Emmerich movie. Is this movie, basically, it paid homage to all those old tropes, but it also subverted some of them, which I like.
And the one giant ending sequence was, I guess the whole end of the last third of the movie was just a giant ending sequence.
Yeah, I think were they in Florida or something?
Yeah, they were at the Democratic, Democrat, a giant Democrat thing.
Yeah, it was.
No, they were in Florida, but they weren't in Cape Canaveral because they had to drive.
No, not Cape Canaveral, I know, but in Florida somewhere.
Yeah. Democratic Congress or something like that. I'm not sure of political.
Yeah.
I know it was Democrat because there's blue everywhere.
Yeah,
giant signs of blue.
Yeah, it was a prep rally or something. I don't know, something.
But the story is they have to get the president there, but the main character's brother has to get to the president because the president has the kill codes.
Yeah,
the Dutch boy.
and it's like a biological kill code, meaning it eye scan and fingerprints.
Which they didn't say immediately. They just said kill codes.
Yeah.
And they also tried to make us think that the president was the bad guy.
Yeah.
So we have a whole chase scene of getting to the president where
are you a bad enough dude to kidnap the president?
The whole time his girlfriend is basically the only common sense in the movie.
Yeah, well, she's the voice of reason character.
And they had to hack the system earlier in the movie, and they had to do it through her. And she's like, "Are you really gonna sit there and think that I'm gonna do this?" And he's like, "Yeah, because I'm asking you to." She's like, "Oh, okay." There's a theme going out through the movie that no one else knew that those two were in a relationship. They weren't allowed to be in a relationship.
So Anakin
because of their jobs.
Padme.
Yeah.
So Anakin and Padme syndrome.
I was surprised there wasn't a sandstorm. now.
But it would be so coarse, rough, and irritating. It would get in everywhere.
So they go through a whole thing to capture commandeer the president, which was actually pretty cool. Was she
basically
she instigated basically a gunman attack by shooting in the air and alerting the rest of the security that she would take the president.
Yeah.
Which is like basically the simplest way to convince a president that he has to go with you.
Yeah.
There's a gunman, come with us. It's like, okay, I'm going. Which is basically what he does. And this is probably my favorite part, is the dialogue, the back and forth in the car, we have to note, self-driving car.
Yes, because Chekhov's gun.
Yeah. It's like the president, they're talking, and the president's describing all the crimes that the brother is going to be arrested for, and then the brother accidentally calls his girlfriend honey, and he goes, honey? And the brother goes, guilty. At that point, the president goes, oh, they're in a relationship. And then the best dialogue comes from that, I found.
Yeah.
It's like, so
the romantic banter.
Yeah. It was revealed right before that the secretary, or whatever his position was,
yeah, something like that,
turned out to be the bad guy.
Yeah, the Peter Weller character.
Yeah.
Which again, I called right off the bat that the kind of performance he was pulling off, that sort of the sneered smiles and like, you are my best guys, kind of like I picked up on that right off the bat. Just the inflections he was doing is just screamed, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, at one point Gerard Butler was having a conversation with his brother, and he goes, so who are the assholes in charge? And it turns to Peter Welling and he goes, well, I guess I'm the asshole.
And he was.
He tried to kill the brother. I don't even remember, I still can't remember the brother's name.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It was Jake and who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. And younger guy.
Yeah. But they're in the car.
Leonidas and not Leonidas.
Yes. I love the president goes like, he realizes their relationship, and he goes, because they're being chased by the Peter Weller's henchman.
Yeah.
And she as a badass, because she's a CIA agent, she spins the car around, shoots one, and as she spins her back around, the president goes, you should marry her. He's like, it's like even he realizes.
Yeah.
So we get a whole chase scene.
Yeah, with like
intermingled with Gerard Butler trying to save the day.
But yeah, but at the same time, lightning is coming down everywhere, like destroying everything that isn't under cover. That's why most of the chase scene took place under parking bridges.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense. So then,
and how they defeat the henchmen is they basically they do the pit maneuver or something like it on the henchman's car to force them outside of the cover of the underpass.
And I believe he gets hit by something?
Yeah, the lightning.
Okay, yeah. And then the Peter Weller has had a tracker, because the president obviously has a tracker on him at all times. So he shows up in front of the bridge with a nuke and one of his henchmen.
Well, not a nuke.
A rocket launcher.
Yeah, rocket. Yeah, an RPG.
So he's gonna shoot the president's car, killing him, and then he's gonna become president of the United States. And at the same time,
by default, because
everyone else is dead.
Yeah.
That's his plan, to kill everyone else so he can become president. And also play God. And,
of course.
And restructure the world as he sees fit.
Of course.
So they blow up the car, which his reaction to when they survive is hilarious. He's like, how? And the president goes, I'm the president of the United States!
Oh my!
But it's obvious it was a self-driving car and they got out.
Yeah.
Which the movie never admits to.
Well, they did it visually.
Yes, but
they portrayed it visually, and that's the way to do it in a movie.
The president would rather be a badass than explain how he survived a nuke, a rocket launcher.
Yeah.
I keep saying freaking nuke.
Yeah.
But then the Another
It wasn't a nuke. He didn't
No.
exactly have a fridge he could climb into.
No. But then we got more romantic dialogue because the brother is questioning Peter Weller, and he basically goes, I have one last thing to ask you, and then punches him in the face, and his girlfriend goes, that's my fiance. Like, even she's like, okay, we should get married.
Yeah.
The best kind of relationships are ones that begin by punching others and being punching or shooting others.
Like Deadpool.
Okay, that's something different. His relationship with his girlfriend is spawned out of something different.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we get the traditional climax of the action hero saving the day. They did this thing a lot in the movie where Gerard Butler couldn't figure out what door to open. Like he would input the code. He would input the code
because he hadn't been there for years, so he forgot where everything was.
Yeah, he would input a code in the door, and he couldn't understand how the code didn't work.
Because it was the wrong door.
Yes, and then a character we met earlier, who was basically the chief scientist of the craft, would come up and go,
I live here, and just...
Wrong door.
Yeah.
Like, she did that at least twice.
Yeah.
Like, it was a common trope in the movie. So they had to shut down the Dutch boy, which they successfully did. Before that, they had to send satellites into other satellites, because they were...
Yeah, to knock them out because they were corrupted and doing damage to cities and stuff and killing people, so they had to try knocking one, destroying one by knocking another satellite into it to stop that destruction.
Which the system is obviously was programmed to say, stop it, don't do it. But then we get the trope of, are they going to make it? Are they not? And they latch onto a satellite that is still left in the docking bay and get into it and jettison into space, hoping to survive, where luckily they come across a escape ship piloted
Another common trope in Roland Emmerich movies.
Piloted by one of the crew members that we had met earlier, the token Mexican guy, or token Spanish guy, whatever.
Yeah.
Mexican's probably too specific.
Hispanic. Token Hispanic.
Yeah. So they're saved, they're brought to Earth, and then he's reunited with his daughter, and eventually, at the last scene, he gets to go back up into space.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was the movie, and it was pretty good.
We could sit here describing the whole movie if we wanted, but
yeah,
we almost did.
We have more videos to do today.
Yes.
And another movie to see.
Yes. We are going to see Thor Ragnarok. Okay, I really don't think you're worthy, but nonetheless. I definitely recommend Geostorm if you're into the action disaster. It's definitely a good modern action disaster movie. And
again, it plays up on all the tropes of previous Roland Emmerich movies while still making it actually pretty good.
And without being too cheesy. Like there's little bits here and there.
It's still a cheesy, dumb action movie, but they put some real effort into it.
It felt a lot more grounded.
Yeah. As grounded as a Roland Emmerich movie can get.
Yeah. Pun intended.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
So, yeah. Until next...
I wouldn't mind seeing... I wouldn't mind more in this universe. If this is...
A sequel, you mean?
Yeah, something like that.
Roland Emmerich rarely ever does sequels. The only one he really did was to Independence Day, and that's just because it was his most famous movie.
Yeah, but still, I definitely, if you can find it, definitely watch it. I couldn't find a weak character really. Maybe just the superfluous characters of the people in NASA, but that's how you have to depict NASA.
Yeah.
Like everyone contributed to the story in their own way, and none of the dialogue felt out of place. Like little bits were cheesy, but that's kind of what you expect.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it didn't detract from...
Cheese is good.
Yeah, it didn't detract from the serious, the threat that you felt throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
All right.
I mostly just been going, yeah, yes. Most of this review.
Okay, bye.
Bye.